Dixie here. Today I am coming at you with another Appalachian Trail section spotlight. So I've had so many people ask, what section of trail was your favorite, or do you recommend a section for a weekend or a day or a week hike? And I understand that not everybody at their current stage in life can do a through hike of the Appalachian Trail. So I'm hoping that this series will kind of help y'all find a certain part of trail that I know you'll see beautiful things on and we'll have a good experience. Last time I did McAfee Knob and Tinker Cliffs, which is in Virginia, so it was a little more centrally located on the trail. This time I'm covering one in Vermont. So the reason I've picked Vermont is it was actually one of my favorite states along the Appalachian Trail. It was really the first state where I was like, you know what, I can wake up and look around and actually realize that I'm not in Georgia anymore. Now, there were parts of Massachusetts that were beautiful. There were parts of New Jersey, all of the states have their own beauty. But a lot of them still looked similar to the South to me. It's like if you were to wake up at the shelter and look around, you'd go, I could believe it that I was in Georgia, Tennessee, North Carolina, whatever, if somebody told me that. But in Vermont was when I finally woke up and I was like, I am not in Georgia anymore. Like, you can finally see a difference. And there are just so many beautiful views. I love the forest that has kind of like that green moss growing and you can kind of see it going up the trees. Everything was just more vibrant and it wasn't an extremely difficult state to hike in. So New Hampshire is a beast, it's tough and everything, but hiking in Vermont is so beautiful and it's just not as difficult as New Hampshire and Maine. So the stretch that I'm highlighting today spans between Bennington, Vermont and Manchester Center, Vermont. So it's actually like a 40-mile stretch, and you can either split it up and do like the first 20-mile section and the second 20-mile section, or you could do all 40 if you had a week-long trip. Or there's actually even an opportunity for a day hike in this section. So that's what I really liked about it. Now again, with the last video, I told y'all that I use the mileages seen in the AWOL AT guidebook, and I highly recommend that guidebook if you are going to hike the AT any section of it. You can get an older book. The mileages may not be perfectly aligned, but if you're looking at a specific section of trail, it should be about the same length anyway. So I'm going to go off of 2015's mileages from my guidebook, but it'll at least give y'all an idea of the distances between certain points. Now while I'm talking about all of this, don't worry about taking notes. I'm writing it all down. I'm going to have, again, another blog post that will go along with this video that has all of the notes and the mileages. That way y'all don't have to worry about all that. Now, of course, you can hike the trail, in any direction you choose, but the southern end in Bennington is what I'm going to start with. So you would be going northbound. That's mile 1611, and there's parking at Vermont 9. So that is your first, exit. Then at 1631.6, so that's a little over 20 miles, there's a forest road. It's gravel, so that would be your second exit. Then at 1633.6, so just a couple miles up the road, you've got another gravel road, and actually that would be the one that you will use for the day hike opportunity. And then your fourth and final exit is going to be at Vermont 30 and 11, and it is going to be mile 1651.1. So in the first 20-mile section and in the second 20-mile section, you've got like 4 to 5 different shelters / campground opportunities in that, so in each section. So in this whole 40-mile span, you've got about 9 to 10 opportunities to camp or stay in a shelter, and the water is very plentiful through this section. The longest stretch that you'll go without water is actually in that first 20-mile section, and it's like a 7-mile stretch, but other than that, you're looking at 4 miles or less in between reliable water sources. So the water in Vermont is wonderful. The elevations in the stretch of trail are anywhere from like 1,300 to almost 4,000, so you've got some pretty significant change, but again, it's not too rigorous. Like, it can be done, and the scene around you will be beautiful. In Bennington, Vermont, there are several options for lodging, several hotels, and again, in the AT guidebook, it has all of the information, but I'll include some of the hotel locations and everything for y'all in that blog post. Then in Manchester Center, there is the most wonderful hostel called the Green Mountain Hostel, and I really love staying there. The place is super clean. The man who owns it built like a separate lodging area, so he's got his house and then the separate area just for the hikers, and there's several bunk rooms. There's a kitchen. There's actually this cool little map where you can pin where you're from on it. He's got loaner clothes, so when you're stinky and gross and you get there, you can put, you know, all of your stuff in the wash and wear the loaner clothes while you're, you know, after you've bathed, and then just lounge around. There's like a living room and a piano, and for staying there you even get a free pint of Ben & Jerry's, so that was that was pretty cool. There are 2 towers in this 40-mile stretch of trail that are just, I mean, they just have amazing views. The first one is Glastonbury Tower, and I mean, you can just look out and see forever. But probably the coolest view and the day hike opportunity is Stratton Mountain. So there's a tower up there, and it's actually where Benton McKay stood and looked out upon the vast wilderness and said, you know, there really should be a trail that just spans to allow people to walk through the wilderness and see things like this for, you know, a long stretch. And aha, you know, it was his aha moment of the Appalachian Trail and kind of where it all began. So that was pretty neat to stand there and just take that view in and go, this is where the man that created all of this stood. So that's pretty neat. So again, on the 3rd exit, you can go just for like a 3 or 4 mile hike up to the tower and then turn around and come back. Near that tower, there's a side trail that goes about a mile off trail, and it takes you to a gondola. And so I got to ride the gondola. That was pretty neat, up to the ski resort. I would check the hours and make sure that they are going to be open, but I think that there's like a little gift shop and stuff. That way you have like a touch of civilization in case you have forgotten something at home or need to buy some more snacks, because hikers are always eating all of their snacks. Other than the 2 towers and the gondola ride, there was a pond that was just my absolute favorite part of this section of trail. It was a pond that I had dreamed of in the middle of Virginia when I was just like sticky, sweaty, and gross, because you would get kind of gross hiking and everything, and you would just dream of like an open pond that had like sun hitting it. But pretty much in Virginia and other areas, there's no like good swimming hole that's in the sun, and so you get in that cold water and then you're freezing to death and everything, or I'm cold natured anyway. But there in Vermont, I mean, it was just this most beautiful pond, just wide open, lots of sun hitting it. You could paddle around in canoe, but it was freezing cold by the time I got there, so it was too cold to really swim in and appreciate it. So that would be great for section hikers. If you go in the middle of the summertime, you could really enjoy swimming in that pond. I do want to point out that the Green Mountain Club takes a lot of pride in the section of trail in Vermont, so they kind of run and maintain that section. So sometimes when you camp or stay in that area, there will be a $5 charge, so keep that in mind, but it's totally worth it for all of the work that the volunteers do. It's pretty awesome. I think all but one of the shelters in this section has a privy, so thank you to the volunteers who keep those up. I hope that y'all found this helpful, and if you have any questions about this section of trail or you've hiked at all and you want to share your experience, please comment below. And if you like the work that I am doing here and you want to help support this channel, there are several ways to do so below, one that is even at no additional cost to you. So we will see y'all next time. Okay, so I am here at Amicalola State Park, and there's this nice little compartment overhead, so that's the opening, where you can put like a headlamp